So these are purple asters, and they are one of the last blooming flowers of the season. Really important for the last of the pollinators and for our wild bees before they lay their eggs. Some hibernate, some don't. And there's lots of uses for these, but to me, they're always that sign that it's time to take out the winter clothes because fall is here. Love the asters. The leaves are turning yellow because they're getting ready. So some, not all of them, some like spruce and pine, they keep their leaves year round, but these aspen poplars, the willows, any of the trees with big broadleaves, they're dropping them now and they're getting ready for winter. They're putting all of their sap and their energy into their roots underground, and they're just going to hibernate. They're going to sleep for the winter. Some animals do that too. We know that bears and some other animals, they also hibernate through the winter. And then there's ones that kind of sort of hibernate, like squirrels. They go to sleep, they slow down, but they also store lots of food for the winter because there are times where they wake up and they'll eat and then they go back to sleep. And then there's other animals like chickadees and some of the birds. They are around all winter long, always looking for food. They'll store some food. Sometimes they'll steal some other animals' food. And then they also look for things like bird feeders that people put out as a way to survive their winter. In the springtime, you'd be hearing lots of frogs right now, but I don't hear any frogs. I hear wind and I hear some birds. That's because the frogs are already settling in for the winter. Now they don't really migrate, but they do hibernate. So what they'll do is they'll dig themselves down into the mud in the marsh here, way deep down. And they have a compound in their blood, which is like antifreeze. So they don't freeze solid and they'll go to sleep for the winter. This is true for salamanders too. There's lots of different salamanders that we have around here, and even snakes. There are garter snakes around here, and they will create a whole bunch of them will come together, and they'll find a little hollow in the ground and they'll hibernate together. One great place for snakes is Métis crossing. There's lots of garter snakes out there, and you can see them coming and going in the spring and the fall when they're going to go hibernate and when they're leaving hibernation. So this is a pretty cool way of watching nature, of what's going to sleep, where do they go, and being excited for when they come back in the spring.